Perfect. Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me this morning. Uh, Appreciate the time. Appreciate you guys coming and giving me somebody to talk to this morning. So, a couple of topics. I'm going to focus on the buyer side of things today. And Bryn had shared with me that we wanted to cover some of the seller topics as well. So, if we get time today, I'll cover the seller topics. But my focus today is more on working with buyers and getting the buyer off the fence in a market that's shifting and changing, and just trying to give you guys some insight on what to do differently or maybe improve or tweak and adjust to trying to work with a buyer in your guys' marketplace. And just quick, for those of you who don't know who I am, Wade Webb, licensed in 1992. Started with Realty World back in the day. Got a job selling encyclopedias in Saskatchewan, door to door. That's how I got into sales back in late 80s. Fell in love with sales, got into real estate. Love real estate and the Montreal Canadiens more than anything in the whole entire world. And have been in the business for almost 27 years now, and love what I do. And I'm just grateful to be able to have the opportunity to share with you guys this morning and give you some insight. How I am qualified for this topic this morning is quite, I know exactly what not to do. So my greatest sad story for a buyer was an Imperial Oil transfer, Bob and Darlene, I won't give you their last name, coming in from Winnipeg, Manitoba, coming into Kelowna to buy a home, and they have 3 days. And so instead of me following a process like I always do with my sellers, I just use what most realtors do, the wing it method. And so we come through and we wing everything, and literally in 3 days, 72 showings later, 72 houses, and an offer negotiated out. It was the most demotivating, most anticlimactic, most exhausting process of selling a client, a home ever in my life. And I just made a commitment after that I would never do that and let that happen again. Anybody else experienced the 72 homes in 3 days experience before and done that? And then finally exhaustedly sold them something. So that's where I come in my experience of what not to do. So I'm going to focus more on what not to do today than what to do in that. So I'm going to open with one of the things I think is most important about buyers. And that is what I truly think is the true definition of a buyer. And my definition of a buyer is this: it is a person who buys, and if they don't buy, then they need to say goodbye. Everybody agree with me? Right? So they're either buying or they're goodbye. And so you got to fall on that. Let me ask you a question. How many people in this room would take a listing without a signed listing contract and do everything you do for a seller without a signed listing contract? How many people would ever do that in the room? None of you, right? So question is, why do we continue to do this with a buyer every single day we're out in the workplace? Now, I'm not going to ask you to confessions of a real estate agent right now and ask you to put your hand up, but how many of you ask yourself, go out every single day with a buyer without a commitment?
All the time.
All the time. And so you would never do it with a seller. So my challenge for you today is that wouldn't you agree that we should never do it with a buyer, and that would be half of our problem solved, and the webinar is finished and it's over? Would you agree? All right. So the reality is this: is that focus on that you're looking for someone that's going to buy, and if they're not going to buy, then you say goodbye. Does that make sense? Okay. And let's commit moving forward in 2020 that if a buyer's not committed, like a seller's committed, then we're not going to put that. We're going to put the time, energy, effort, and put all of it into process in that, and we're going to make some smarter decisions and not work harder in 2020. Everybody in favor of that? Sound good? Perfect. All right. One person agrees with me. That's awesome. Excellent. All right. So quickly, just a couple of backgrounds here. So what are the downsides to working with buyers? The downside of working with a buyer is they're demanding on my time. They're demanding on my energy, Wade. They're not guaranteed that they're going to buy with me. Loyalty seems to be something that lacks all the time. They get cold feet. They're fickle. The deal collapses and they disappear. And those are some of the typical downsides with working with buyers. How many people have experienced all of those symptoms with buyers in their career so far? Right? They flake out in that. And the reality is that there are some upsides, though. Upsides to the buyers are that they're quick to generate a sale. They're quick ways of us to be able to generate a sale. You could possibly sell your own listing to them and create a double end, although we can't do it in BC. At least you can, thankfully, in Saskatchewan. You can get referrals from them in the future. The upside is that there's less pressure on your performance. So when you're seller orientated, you really need to be in front of the spotlight and under the microscope when you're acting for a seller. They don't know any different if you're any good or if you're any bad at a buyer's side. So there's less pressure on your performance. And then there's also less pressure on the cost because there's not a lot of costs involved except for some gasoline, maybe a coffee, a lunch, or something like that. So there's less pressure. So those are your upsides to buyers. Those are your downsides to buyers. And now we know the true definition of a buyer is if someone's going to buy or we're going to say bye-bye. Okay, that's it. Now, there are 5 types of buyers, 5 types of buyers in our marketplace. We have the millennial buyer. Okay. Now you have to understand each of these buyer types to be able to understand how to serve them. Okay. So can we ignore the millennial buyers? No, we can't ignore the millennial buyers because the millennial buyers are the biggest buying group in the future for us in our industry. So here are some inside intel on the millennial buyer. Now, the millennial buyer, the old school sales techniques do not work on these people. Okay. So all your Floyd Wickman, all your Tommy Bresser, all that stuff that you learn in that, they're immune to the old school sales process, okay? They meet at...
Wait.
Yeah. Yes.
Can you just go full screen on the slides? They're a little bit easier to read then.
You bet.
Or at least hit slideshow view or whatever.
Yeah.
That should be easier, yeah.
Better? Yeah. So the millennials, they meet at the coffee shop. They don't meet at the office, okay? You've got to lead them with facts and statistics. They love to be educated offline versus online, okay? They like to see visuals, and they like to see the past history of what's happened, okay? Now, they have a huge goal for home ownership. They want to own homes and that, and their focus is they'd like to pay their mortgage off early, and they understand the concepts of owning versus renting and things like that. So you need to show them the past of what people have experienced with they bought versus rented, what they've experienced with their equity buildup, showing them the benefits of being able to create more equity and wealth in that. Those are the things that motivate a millennial, okay? So remember, they're immune to your old school sales process. They're more coffee shop type of people. They're more of a feel, not a do type of client, unfortunately. And you got to lead them with facts and education and statistics, okay? And show them history. Show them history. They love the history of things. Now, you've got the move-up buyer. Yeah, and they need to have an idea of what they can buy before they list, okay? So they have a security process. They have a sense of, okay, I don't know where I'm going, but I need to know where I'm going before I list and before I do anything. And the move-up buyers. And would you agree move-up buyers would be one of those opportunity sectors in your guys' marketplace based on your current market condition? Would you agree?
Well, it's a good time to buy, but
yeah. So look at that. A move-up buyer. Why would you got to look at? Yeah, there's some bad things going on in the marketplace, but where are the good things and where are the opportunities? And I look at your opportunity. What is the difference of price correction on a more expensive home versus the lower end home? What's the price correction? Greater or smaller?
Yeah, the greater, yeah.
Greater, right? So then so you look at you look at what they're getting and what they're gaining when they're moving up versus what they're leaving. Does that make sense? So I look at the opportunity that I know in our marketplace, the higher, more expensive homes have the greater depreciation. The prices drop larger. So your move-up buyer and your move-up market is an opportunity market in your marketplace. Would you agree? Okay. Now there's a relocation buyer. So the circumstantial buyer what relocates and transfers or comes there and relocates from community to community, from area to area, job to job, and that we have a relocation buyer, and we have to be able to work with their circumstances. We have that third party buyer. That's the buyer who has a silent assassin, the person in behind the scenes, their accountant, their dentist who's giving them real estate advice and behind the scenes on how to buy and how to sell and that. Anybody have one of those clients, right? That has a silent assassin involved in the process, right? So the reality with that third party buyer is that to avoid that silent assassin, we bring that silent assassin along for the ride. Because here's what happens. We get to the point where the person wants to make a decision on what they want to buy, and then all of a sudden the silent assassin never saw all the properties and how bad they were, and so they can't make an educated decision as well as the person that they're trying to buy, and they kill the deal, and they're smarter and they destroy the opportunity because they haven't been along for the process. So biggest thing for a third-party buyer is to ask, who are the decision makers? Get all decision makers involved in your process and eliminate that assassin earlier than not later, so that you're not figuring that you're getting killed in the 11th hour and the last minute of when you want to write an offer. And last is our fifth group of buyers, and fifth type of buyers is our downsized buyer, where you've got empty nesters. They're trying to free up some equity. They're looking for that second seasonable home somewhere in Phoenix or in Palm Springs or something like that. And we're looking at that downsizing opportunity where they may be freeing up money, they're house rich and cash poor, or they're looking at lifestyle change and second home seasonal situation, or they're just looking where everybody's left the nest and we've got too much home and too much space and it's time to make that move. So those are our type of buyers, and looking at how I can prepare for those buyers, how I can serve those buyers differently, and how I can be ahead of the curve with each of those buyers and prepare differently, and just understanding that there are only 5 typical buyers out there that you're going to face. In the room, what a majority of the type of buyers that you guys are seeing in your guys' marketplace right now? Millennials?
No, downsizing.
And downsizers? Yeah, perfect. All right, so be prepared. Now, buyer principles. These are timeless buyer principles, okay? When a buyer's on the fence, I can tell you this, and I know this is to be true, so is the agent on the fence, okay? So if your clients are on the fence, you're on the fence and you're not communicating and educating clearly what the benefits to them of buying and doing the job and doing the deal, okay? So look at how you're feeling about it when you're working with these people. Are you on the fence as well as them on the fence, okay? Your job is not to make someone buy something, okay? Be very clear. We don't like to be sold, right? We like to buy because buying makes us feel good, right? Anybody else like me who loves to go on Amazon and buy online and just buy stuff because it just makes you warm and fuzzy and tingly all inside when you buy stuff and spend money on that, right? So we love to buy, but we hate to be sold, okay? Remember that. So you want to increase their desire and their feeling to buy and not to be sold. Your job is to help someone make decisions, okay? You're the person that needs to be the rock in the process, not the river. So a good buyer agent needs to be logical, unemotional, strong, convincing, right? And you need to be off the fence, and you need to be convinced and compelling, and need to be decisive about what they're doing and how they're doing it. You're the trusted advisor. You're the one that needs to tell them, yeah, we should do this. This is a good decision for you. This is in my history and in my experience, I can sell this again in 5 years for you. Don't worry about it. You've got to be that rock and don't be that river, okay? So there's no drama. The emotional and the roller coasters and the drama kings and queens aren't a good fit for a buyer process, okay? Right. Now you provide that professional insight. You provide that advice. You be the steady person that has to keep that process moving along, and don't be that river, and don't add to the drama, and don't add to the fear, okay? Now, get that buyer off the fence and into a home, okay? Right? And get them into a home in that, and on the fence, they just end up with splinters, okay? So if they're sitting on the fence, they're going to be upset. They're going to be disappointed. They're going to be in there. One of the biggest things you'll find is when you find somebody something they can't have, what ends up in that situation? Right? So they end up not buying because you've killed that buyer because they can't have what they want, right? So you have to be careful that you're not showing people something that they cannot have. Is that a fair comment? Be careful that you're not showing people that something they cannot have in the buying process, okay? So get them off that fence, be decisive, be that rock, not that river, right? You're the trusted advisor. You're the one they're relying on to make the decisions and to help them with the decisions and give them that professional insight and give that. Now, in your marketplace, what has happened to prices every decade, every 10 years? What has happened to prices? right? So anybody tell me, like, I don't know about your marketplace, but every 10 years, would you say that prices are up higher than the last decade? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
so the reality is that you know that every 5 or 10 years when you're selling somebody something, you're going to like your chances of them having equity in their home being worth more than what it was when you sold it. Would you agree? Right? So you know that if you're going to sell somebody something for a 1 to 3 year decision, you got to be careful versus somebody that's going to be in that decision for 5 to 10 years. That makes sense? Right? And so you hear this from the investors and the investment portfolio guys that they talk about how it's a 10-year process and a long-term process, and that buying and selling real estate is not like the stock market, right? It is a 5 or 10 year process, and it's our job to educate those people and let them know the timelines of their process, the risks and the rewards of their decisions and what they're buying, whether they're buying for something 1 to 3 years or they're buying something 5 to 10 years. Now, there are two typical approaches to buying real estate, okay, and selling real estate with agents. Approach number one is reactionary. So you react to all your calls coming in. The buyer says jump, you say how high. The buyer dictates that process. You tour guide them through the homes. You trade them all your energy and everything else for a paycheck. And that, how many people are needing to change that they're a reactionary type of agent? That they're just saying, when people say jump, you're saying how high. The other approach is to be a strategic agent, okay? Where you're strategic, you're following a process, you're staying on control, you're creating a relationship, you're leading that client who's willing to lead. So if a client isn't willing to listen or isn't willing to have you lead them in that, then they're probably not the right client and it's time for them to go. Would you agree? Right? And one of the things, the reason why we hold on to buyers that we hold on to longer than we should is because we don't have enough clients and we don't have enough customers. So you're forcing yourself, if you're not out looking for another buyer or another person to do business with, you're forced and stuck with people that you should be cutting loose. Now, I'm going to ask you this. Look at your buyer list right now, and are there people that you need to cut loose? That don't want you to lead, that don't listen, don't do that, right? And the beauty of our job and the beauty of this business is that you get a choice. You get a choice, right? You can cut them loose and do that. Now, the reason why we can't cut them loose is because I don't have enough people, and it's the only one I've got, Wade, so I can't cut them loose because it's the only one I've got. So the reality is that you work with them and you earn a check and it feels terrible and then they're running you ragged and they're grinding you out, or you're just like, okay, I'm going to cut them loose and I'm going to go find more. I'm going to go find others. I'm going to go find the people who are willing to have me lead. Okay. Now, I think this is the key to all buyers agent success, guys. Write this down. It's the power is in the process. Okay. The power is in the process. How many of us have a process with a seller that you follow no matter what? How many people have a process that you follow step by step? You do the same thing with your sellers every single time to get the results you're looking for, okay? We all have that process. You're either doing a listing and a seller in a one-stop or you're doing it in a two-stop, but we have some sort of process in some sort of way where we're always serving a seller. We should have that same process with a buyer, and it shouldn't be any different. The reason why, here's the benefits to a process. When you have a process, you're consistent. And when you have a process, you don't have to remember everything. And when you have a process, you're getting the results you're looking for. When you're winging it, you're getting winging results. When you have a process, you're getting the results you're looking for, okay? Now, that process for a buyer's agent is, write this down. The process is elimination, okay, not selection. It's a process of elimination for a buyer, not the process of selection. What I mean by that is that we're going to start wide, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, and we're going to get it down to the narrow. We're going to get it down. So we're going to focus on the process of elimination, not on the process of selection. And we're going to maximize the return on their experience, maximize the return on your efficiency in that, and you're going to have a more strategic approach if you change the way you handle and the way you work your process, okay? And so I'm going to share what I suggest is a good idea process for a buyer and how to be able to create that process of elimination and eliminate that process of selection, okay? All right, now, the three most powerful qualifying questions. And one of my mentors taught me this. He said, Wade, Learn how to lose a buyer on Tuesday before they disappear and run you ragged and roll you over and they end up not buying on Saturday. How many people like that saying? Learn how to lose them on Tuesday before they run you through the gambit and they disappear, or they don't end up buying in that, and they basically end up doing something with someone else in that on Saturday. Would you agree that that's something that you need to focus on, right? So qualification is just as important as my process, okay? Here are the 3 most powerful qualifying questions to identify whether a buyer is going to buy or a buyer is going to just look, okay? Question number 1 is when, okay? Question number 1, when? It's real simple. You're identifying there. So I look at it and go, okay, are they somebody that's in the next 30, 60, 90 days? If there's someone in the next 30, 60, 90 days, is that someone I want to work with? Yes or no? Absolutely, right? If there's somebody that's 6 months to a year or longer in that, what do I end up doing with that person? Do I focus my time and energy on somebody that's 6 months, 1 year, 2 years down the road? No, I end up just putting them in a process or put them on a system, right? So I automate them or I systemize them and let the system take care of them until they're ready to put their hand up and say, hey, I'm here, I'm good to go, I'm ready to buy, it's serious, it's good to go time and that. So question number 1 is when. Question number 2 is why, okay? Write this down. How many of you know what your buyer is running to or running from? Think about this. How many of you truly know what your buyer is running from or running to? Okay? The only way you're going to move a customer or a client's emotional meter is to identify what they're running from or running to. Would that be a fair comment? To move their emotional meter, they're either avoiding pain or they're going to something that's going to make them feel pleasure. Does that make sense to everybody, right? So it's incredibly important that we identify their why. We identify and probe. And so write this down. This is a Joe Stump technique, you guys. It's called the 5-6-7. Called the 5-6-7. Okay? Most agents don't ask enough why questions. Okay? They're one level deep. So why you want to buy? That's it. Or you'll even forget to ask why they want to buy. So you need to ask 7 why questions deep. Okay? 7 deep. And that will get you to the root. That will get you to the hot button. That'll get you to what they're truly running from or avoiding or what they're running to. Okay? So it's real simple. You just ask this question over and over again. So tell me more about that. So tell me more about that. So tell me more about that. Okay? So you're asking that question 6, 7 times deep, and that will get you to the root of what the client is running from or running to. Now, if they don't have a why, then it's time for you to say goodbye. Okay? If there's no pain or there's no pleasure, they're not going to do what you want them to do. I don't care how good of a salesperson I am. It doesn't matter. If they don't have anything they're running from or they're running to, then I cannot serve them. I cannot get them to do what they want to do. Okay? So remember to go 7 deep and probe and go, so tell me more about that. So why is that so important? Tell me more about that. So why is that so important? Go 7 questions deep, you guys, and not just go 1 question deep. And the last one is how, okay? So just out of curiosity, is it all cash or will you require financing? Okay? So third question is there all cash or do you require financing? So right away, and then my next question is if they're requiring financing, who's that financing with? Okay? Who's that financing with? So are you paying all cash or are you requiring financing, and who's that financing with? All right, so I've got the when question to identify their timing. I've got the why question to identify what they're running from or running to. No pain, no gain, no why, no avoidance or anything, or no pleasure. I can't move their emotional meters. They don't have enough motivation for me to work with them. And the last question is how? Is it going to be cash or is it going to be financing? And if you require financing, who's that financing with? Okay, so those are the 3 simplest, quickest ways for you guys to identify the qualification of your buyers and eliminate them on Tuesday instead of running them and dragging them around until Saturday, okay? Next one, how to convert to an appointment, okay? So not only identifying the consumer's why and what they're running from or running to, but you also, appointment conversion, how many people are having a tough time getting the client to the sit down? Anybody having a tough time? Like I meet people, but I can't wait. I can't get them to sit down with me face to face. Is that a challenge for anybody in the room there? Getting that appointment and that and helping you out? So let me just explain to you the sales appointment process. This is the appointment conversion process, okay? Step one in the appointment conversion process is bringing them to the awareness, okay? Bringing to the awareness. So write this down. What are the biggest buyer challenges your buyers are facing in your marketplace right now, guys? What are the biggest, the top 5 or the top 10 buyer challenges that your buyers are facing in today's marketplace? Okay, so for example, can't find what they're looking for. The market's going to crash. I gotta sell before I buy. Right? Like make a list of all the common challenges you know that the buyers are facing in your marketplace, in your market condition today. Okay? Now, start asking them when you meet them, hey, just out of curiosity, are you having a problem with this? Hey, just out of curiosity, are you having a problem with this? And then all of a sudden they start thinking to themselves, hey, this agent, Wade knows what I'm facing. Wade knows what I'm fearing. Wade knows what's going on in our marketplace. This person understands the challenges I'm having and the difficulties I'm having. And then my job is to let you know that I have the what to your challenges, the problems. What do I have? I've got the solutions, right? I've got the solutions to those challenges and that. So it's important that you guys think like a buyer and stop thinking like a realtor. To think like, okay, what are their challenges? What are their fears? What are their difficulties? And ask them, right? Not, hey, do you like this house enough to buy it? Hey, why did you come to this open house? Hey, why are you here for this listing? Blah, blah, blah. Are you working with a realtor? Guys, they've heard all the same questions for the last 100 years from us. We need to stop asking the same questions and start asking questions about what their challenges are, what their fears are, what their difficulties are. And hey, letting them know that I have solutions to those challenges in today's marketplace. And write this down. It's 3 letters, guys. It's an acronym. LGT. Write it down. LGT. Let's get together. I've got solutions. Let's get together. I know how to avoid these pitfalls. I know how to get around these and steer these challenges. I understand where you're coming from. I get what's going on in there. I have solutions to those problems. I'm aware of what you're faced with and that. I'd love an opportunity. And I'm going to ask you just 20 minutes of their time, 20 minutes. Why do I only want 20 minutes? That's the average adult's attention span and decreasing rapidly every day. So at 9 minutes ago, I lost everybody in the room. One guy actually left. So my theory's actually proven to be true. I lost the guy at like 27 minutes. He was 7 minutes away, but he's back. Thank you, man. You're back. Awesome. It's all good. It's all good. And I say to them, here's my close. Here's my close for the appointment. Here's my close. What's the worst thing that could happen with 20 minutes of your time? What's the worst could happen? What's the best thing that could happen with 20 minutes? What have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? They'll walk away, guys. They'll walk away from their 20-minute appointment with you with the following things. A free cup of coffee, maybe a donut or a muffin, and they'll learn something that they didn't know that they didn't learn. That's the downside. That's the downside of it. That's the worst thing that could happen for them. And so if you don't ask for that sit down, if you don't ask to get together, if you don't ask for the appointment, you don't get. Okay? So how many agree with me that they need to change their questions when they're meeting people for the first time? Right? So start changing your mix. Start asking questions about their challenges, their fears, the things that the difficulties, the mess that they think about what's going on in buying real estate in your marketplace and let them know that everybody else feels the same way. You're totally in tune with what they're feeling and how and what they're faced with, and you have solutions to those problems. And I just need 20 minutes of your time. LGT, baby, let's get together. Hey, what's the worst thing could happen? What's the best thing could happen? At the end of the day, you're going to walk away with a free cup of coffee, a free muffin, and you're going to learn something that you didn't know before you met me. How does that sound? Got 20 minutes? Let's get together, okay? That is the appointment conversion process. How many people need to improve their appointment conversion process and get better at getting people to see the value and the benefit of sitting down with you face to face, okay? Guys, we're in the appointment conversion business. This is what we do. We capture contacts. We convert people to the sit down. If you don't understand what they're going through and you don't know the solutions to what they're going through, they have no reason to sit down with you and meet with you and face to face and hear what you have to say for 20 minutes. Okay. That's the true story there. All right. Let's move on to the next part. So we got converting to the appointment. Now let's talk about the strategic approach. Okay. Now there's a good approach, there's a better approach, and there's the best approach. Okay. Write this down. The good approach, okay, is when you meet them out at a property. When they call you an ad call, sign call, an email, you meet them at the property. How many people tend to just use the good approach and meet people at the property at the first initial meeting out in the field? Okay, so that's a good approach. A better approach would be to meet them at a third-party location. So meet them off-site. I commonly refer to our office as the Death Star. Okay, so if you're a Star Wars fan, you're right. I commonly refer to my office as the Death Star. It's a little bit more challenging to get them to come to the Death Star, but it's easier for them to meet at a coffee shop, at a Tim Hortons, or someplace that's third-party neutral for them to do that, okay? And then the reality is the best approach is to get them to come into the office. Write this acronym down, CITO. Come into the office, CITO. Why is getting them to come into the office the best place to meet people strategically? Why is it the best place? Right?
Picture where they write the offer, I guess. Yeah.
Well, the reality is this: if they're not serious enough to come to the office, then they're not serious enough to buy a home. Would you, as fair comment, right? So it's kind of like a litmus test. If they're not serious enough and they're not in a position to do something and they're not prepared to come into the office, then I know their level of qualification and I know their level of motivation isn't there if they're not coming to the office. So all the top agents, the biggest producers, all have a rule of thumb that if they're not willing to come into the office, then no go. Right? No office, no go, right? And then and that's their mantra, and that's they're trying to eliminate right off the bat their qualification of a buyer. If they're not serious enough to come to the office, then they're probably not serious enough to buy a property. Now, there's other approaches of meeting them at a third-party location and meeting them out in the field, but there's the good approach, there's a better approach, and there's the best approach, okay? All right? So you set the tone by them coming to the office, not the buyer, okay? If they don't have an appointment, they're not pre-qualified, and the setting the tone is them to come in the office. Okay. Now you need to engage them. This is a process of elimination. So my process where we virtually tour properties. I get them to drive by the properties. I get them to call me with their short list. Right. And here's a little tip for you. Does anybody know why the original telephone number was only 7 numbers? Anybody know why we only had 7 numbers in the original telephone number? They psychologically know for a fact that the humans cannot remember anything more than 7 numbers. So if you have a terrible memory like myself, it makes sense to everything, okay? So if we know that they can't remember more than 7 numbers, what's the maximum number of homes that they can remember that you show them at any one time, guys?
3.
3, good answer. 1, right? But the reality is I set the tone with the buyer, letting them know that once we go over 7, then they've psychologically proven that you incapacitate a person's ability to make a decision if you give them more than 7 options. And you incapacitate a person's ability to remember if it's more than 7 numbers. So I'm trying to relate. I'm not trying to make up a myth that I can't show them more than 7 properties. I'm trying to relate it to why I'm not going to show them more than seven properties at one time. Does that make sense to everybody? So that helps you get them to eliminate down to less than 7 properties at any one time, okay? And they understand now how it relates to them and their inability to make a decision and overwhelming them by having more than 6 choices to look at one time, okay? Now, help them get that property, help them find that property. Now, one of the biggest things is that we don't close or ask for the business enough. Ask yourself, do I close and ask for the business enough when I'm out in the field? So I learned this from one of our Chairman's Club ladies. Her name is Joan Richter. And Joni's retired now, but she was what we called the Velvet Hammer in our office. The Velvet Hammer, okay? She was so sweet and so kind. She was like your mom or your grandma. You're like, oh my God, you're so sweet. You're such a nice little old lady, right? But she was the Velvet Hammer. And she knew that if she asked more than 3 times, if people would buy, she'd get the results she was looking for. So do you know that if you ask more than 3 times that you increase your chances of getting an offer written by 62%, you guys? 62%. Okay, so you're ready for her velvet hammer closes? Here's close number 1. Can you see yourselves living here? Can you see yourselves living here? Okay, close number 2. Do you like this one enough to make an offer? Do you like this enough to make an offer? Her velvet hammer close number 3. At what price could you see yourself owning this home? At what price could you see yourself owning this home? Now, let me ask you guys, was that Joan Richter forcing people into buying and fear-mongering them and bullying them into buying, yes or no? No, those were all soft, velvety closes and asking them how to buy and that. And she knew that if she asked them 3 times, every home she showed them, that she would increase her chances of getting an offer by 62%. Okay? Right? So ask more than not and be that velvet hammer. You don't need to ram people into decisions. You just need to ask more than once and ask them more than twice. Okay? Trust me, it'll increase your chances of getting results you're looking for by 62%. Okay? Next strategy we're looking at for buyers. The pre-listing package. Does anybody, or pre-buyer package, does anybody have a pre-package of what you send to people before you've even met them in advance? Good girl. Awesome. Okay? Guys, I'm going to tell you, this is game changer. This is a pre-buyer package of one of my agents in my office. Everybody in my office is made and forced to have a pre-buyer or pre-seller package, okay? In there is their biography. In there is their team. Do you know that everybody in the room has a team? Here's your team. Your home inspector, your mortgage broker, your insurance person, your photographer. That's your team, guys. Why is creating a perception you have a team so important? Would you agree that most people think that if you have a team that there's strength in numbers, yes or no?
Yep.
Yeah, so you all have a team. So in your packaging, make sure you market and put yourself and put your team up front in there and create that perception that you're bigger than everybody else as well, okay? You have a mission statement and you have core values in there. Why do I have mission statement and core values in there? Wait, that seems so stupid. Agents don't market what they believe in, and they don't market why they do what they do. The mission statement and the core values will attract the right persons to you in your business. Secondly, it'll set you apart from everybody else. How many people have a mission statement and how many people have core values on their website, in their marketing pieces, in their things and that are helping you set yourself apart from other competitors in your marketplace and helping you set you apart and identifying what you believe in and why you do it and attracting the right clients? See the benefit of that and having a mission statement and a core values exercise? So look at that and add that to your marketing mix. Then there's talking about your easy exit. So you're guaranteed that you can fire me at any time. Buyers want to know that. Okay, the step-by-step borrowing process, how you find that right home, the 5 things that you do the same time, save them time, money, and stress, testimonials of what other people experience buying with you, and a list of what the buyer will need when you first meet face-to-face. Does that sound like something everybody in the room could put together in a package and build and put together? I'll send Bryn and Ron and the gang there. I'll send you guys a sample pack of our pre-buyer and our pre-seller package so you can get an idea so you're not reinventing the wheel, okay? So all your main common stuff, the 10 steps and all that stuff, is all the content's pre-written for you guys. So Merry Christmas, a little early Merry Christmas present for everybody in the room, okay? Right? 2 options. Option number 1 is to create a hard copy package. So some of my agents use a gift basket and deliver a courier a gift basket to their clients before they meet. Some of them create a book, like a Shutterfly hardcover book that they deliver to their clients before they meet in advance, or some of them just send a digital PDF of them. Which one would have more pop and wow? The basket or the book, obviously, right? So they try to get that book or that basket in the client's hands and eliminate the clients and the other competitors before they even meet them when they're meeting them on their first appointment and that. So use this tool. It's a game changer. I had a Chairman's Club guy approach me in Matt Miller's office in Saskatoon. He started using this, and he basically is crushing it now and getting EBAs signed and getting listing appointments and winning every listing just by adding this component to his buyer process and his seller process, guys. So I know this makes a huge difference in business and competitive edge, okay? Trust me, okay? Now, the paint the picture technique. Anybody heard of paint the picture technique? So let me just share it. This is a powerful way for your buyer to visualize the purchase process, okay? So deepening my connection with them and their purchasing connection, and I'm going to get them to paint the picture. So I say to them, hey, it's 90 days after you moved into your home, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. We're hosting your housewarming party with all your friends and family members, and I'm hosting the party for you. You're taking everyone through your home. Now paint me that picture. What are they seeing as you go through that home and going through that process? So this is a really, really strong, powerful way of getting to internalize and visualize and see their home and see what they want to buy in that. And this is connecting you and your client and your buyer deeply emotionally on it. It's just one of those simple techniques that you can try and just say, hey, it's 90 days after you bought. We're at your housewarming party. You're turning me through the home. Paint me the picture. Tell me what you see. Tell me what you envision. Tell me what you want in that. This will help you guys get the buyer more in tune and more focused than them widening and not knowing what they want and what they can see, okay? Try this technique, paint the picture. I use it in my first process, in my process of meeting people in my buyer appointment, and they love going through that process and love going through that technique, and it helps them get really focused, okay? Now, I love this technique. Can you tell me, if you're buying a home where you guys live, okay, or are you looking for a deal? Are they looking for a home or looking for a deal? Write this down. Ask them, do they want to buy a home or do they want to buy a deal? Give me some ideas of what the difference is between buying a home and what's buying a deal. What's a deal? A deal is usually something that's got hair on it, right? It's got work, it's got problems, it's a Poseidon adventure. It's usually something that's going to be challenging and difficult, and somebody needs to be up for the task. Would you agree? That's a deal. Okay. What's a home? So what's your average ask price to sale price in your marketplace, guys? Do you know what the average seller is getting listed asking price to sale price in your marketplace percent-wise?
95, 96, somewhere in there.
Okay, so write this down. That's a definition of a home. 96% of asking price. That's a home. You getting it here? So it's my job to educate them that a home is 96% of ask. A home is something that is almost perfect, but not quite. A home is something that you can see, you hang your hat on and build a family and live there and do all that stuff, right? It's completely different than a deal. And it's important for them to identify, do they want to buy a home or do they want to buy a deal? Okay, ask that question, go through that process. Another great exercise when you're meeting people on your buyer's appointment and buyer process. Okay, so here's my quick 10-step process and what I do. Okay, very first thing I do is I FORD them. It's an acronym called FORD, F-O-R-D, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. So pretend Bryn and I are meeting for the first time. I say, hey, Bryn, it's really great to connect with you and meet with you, man. Hey, just tell me a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? Where are you originally from? You know, where'd you live and where'd you move to and why'd you go that? What'd you like about that? Then I move on to my occupation. Hey, Bryn, what did you do for a living? What'd you like about that job? What'd you hate about that job? So I go through the occupation process. And then I say, hey, Bryn, what do you do for fun and hobbies and when you have all the free time and if you had money and efforts and that? And then my last one is I don't ask Bryn what he's dreaming for because that's weird and inappropriate and awkward, right? I'll say to them, hey, Bryn, what are some of the things on your bucket list, okay? So write this down. It's so important that we connect, that we get the person to share. How many people have it easily enjoy talking about themselves? Everybody. Right? So let Bryn talk about himself. Let Bryn share his story. Let Bryn tell me about his family, about his occupation, about his fun, his recreation. Tell me about things on his bucket list. And don't rush this process because I want Bryn to like me, to trust me, to feel like I'm somebody who cares and somebody who knows him and he feels like I'm somebody he can talk to. Well, that's because I just shut up and asked him a whole bunch of questions and shut up and listened because God gave me 2 of these and only 1 of these. Does this make sense? Double my listening and cut my speaking in half. That's the key to being a good buyer's agent, is a good listener, okay? Someone who's solid and not emotional. All right, so we have that connection. We have that moment. I meet them at the office, or I meet them out on a showing, I meet them at the coffee shop. It's up to me to choose how I want to set the tone for my process. I go through the buyer interview process. I have the best questions like when and why and how and where you live in now and how did that process work for you when you purchased their last home, and go through all of the buyer and have preset questions. Don't wing it. Have good quality engaging questions that'll qualify them and identify who the person's is. Okay. Now you have 20 minutes to explain to them why your company, and why now. 20 minutes, right? And I educate them on it's a funnel process. So it's a process of elimination. We're going to put all of these properties into this funnel, and then we're going to narrow it down to less than 7, because it's a process of elimination. Now, if I have to show you more than 6 homes, then I'm wasting your time. Okay, I'm not doing my job properly. And I'm here to save you time, money, and stress. So we're going to focus on the elimination process, not focus on that selection process. Okay. Now, here's a great one. Now, on a question for Bryn, on a scale of 1 to 10, just for fun, give me an idea where you're in the process of buying, right? A 1 being you're at the starting process, and a 10 being you'd like to find a home today. Where would you rate yourself right now, a 1 or a 10? Good question, guys. Okay. Another great exercise. I will give each party a pad and a pen, okay? And this is what I do. I get them to make a list of the things they love about the current home that they have, a list of all the things that they currently like about the home, and then I'll get them to make a list of what they currently want in the next home. Now, if it's a husband and wife, are the lists going to be different, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. So it's important that each person's gets it. And while they're making their list, they're looking at each other's lists, right? The husband's going, really? You want that? Really? You like that? And it's helping them join forces together and creating their list. And then I'm going to take their 2 lists now, and we're going to create a have to have and a hope to have. Write this down. I take their lists, their 2 lists, and we're going to join them together and create a have to have list and a hope to have list. This whole process of having them describe all the things they love the most recent or current home, describe all the things they want in it, and then creating a have to have, hope to have is another way of you increasing your effectiveness of buying and getting people laser focused on what they want to buy and what they see out there. Okay. How many people like that process of the 2 list process and getting that narrowing down? So when you're out and about, if you're with me, you're on a clipboard, guess what the top piece of paper is on your clipboard for each of the couples? It's the have to have. So when they're out looking at houses, it's not the feature sheets, it's the have to have list. And then underneath it is the hope to have list. And then it's the feature sheets, because I'm constantly just doing this and poking them in the forehead of what they have to have when we're looking at homes and keeping them laser focused. Okay. So for some of you might have a tablet. On your tablet, the have to have list is the first screen on the tablet, then the hope to have list, and then your feature sheets of the houses you're showing them. Okay. Right. The what and why of why, what they want to buy and why they want to buy it, the how, the cash in that, and then write this down. If we find the home today, what will you do? If we find that home today, what will you do? And if they start doing the river dance, well, we know that they're not qualified. But if they say, you know what, Wade, if we find that right home today, we'll buy it. We'll make an offer. Okay. How many people need to ask if we find that home today? One of my mentors has a little sticker on the front of his car and dash of his car, and it says, "Congratulations, you're in my car. You're buying a home today. You just don't know it." Right? That's his mindset, right? Right, guys. We sell buyers homes. We don't tour guide. If you want a tour guide job, go work at the Chamber of Commerce. If you want to sell people properties, then get in the mindset that, hey, I don't tour guide. I don't work at the chamber. I'm a real estate professional. I sell people homes and help them eliminate their process and their decisions. That makes sense? How many people need to change their mindset from tour guiding too much and that you're a sales professional and you sell people properties, right? And changing that mindset. Now, I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm just saying that's my mindset, that someone's buying a home today because Wade likes certain food and beverages and experiences and things like that. They just don't know it yet, right? And I enjoy helping people with that process and buying process, okay? So there's my simple 10-step buying process and presentation. Now, I'm going to send you guys this. I find that agents have a terrible time presenting their value proposition to buyers. So why me? Okay, so here's I created this little visual one-page document, and it literally could be your buyer presentation. So Bryn, if you work with me, let me just show you what I call my platinum home purchase plan, Bryn. Okay, so in exchange for a commitment to me as your buyer's agent, this is what I'm going to do for you. Bryn, I'm going to knock on doors on your behalf and find a property suitable for you if it's not listed for sale. Hey, Bryn, I'm going to send a direct mail campaign on your behalf through Canada Post, and I'm going to flyer and mail walk and see properties and find properties that aren't listed for sale for you on your behalf. Okay, I'm going to put you on an auto email alert that a listing that comes in automatically on our MLS system will notify you and I. That's automatically before anybody else in the public knows, and so I have the only non-delay auto listing alert system, and I'm going to subscribe you to my non-delay auto email alert system. Okay. I'm going to go through my database of people and see if somebody knows somebody who knows somebody of a home that might be for sale that's not on the MLS system. I'm going to go through all of the expired listing database and find a home that was previously for sale that might work for you and you might want to buy now. I'm going to go through my exclusive listing database. I'm going to go and approach buy owners on your behalf. I'm going to maintain strict confidentiality on your behalf. So all your situational, motivational, financial information only stays with me and not shared with anyone else. I'm going to search my database and see if there's any interest in selling their home in my database with past clients. I'm going to provide you ongoing communication, access to proprietary sales data so you don't pay too much for your property. I'm going to be the transaction coordinator for you, Brent. So all the people that are involved, the home inspectors, the insurance providers, everybody that's involved in the process, they don't phone each other. That's my job. I'm going to coordinate those people, okay? You're going to hold me accountable so that if you're not happy, you can fire me at any time and make sure that it's done. You can have an easy exit strategy, and these are at no extra cost. And I'm going to sign this contract for you, Brent, and give you this commitment. And in exchange for that, I'm going to ask you to commit to me as your exclusive buyer's agent and representative. What are your thoughts, Brent?
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm signing this contract. I'm giving it to them. Now, let me ask you this question, guys. Would any of us do any of these things for somebody that's not committed to us and signed up with this? Yes or no? Right? And so how many people see the value in all these things I do for buyers that sets me apart from everybody else that's a buyer's agent in the region there? Would you agree that this process, I'm showing you, write this down. Show me, don't tell me. Why can I not tell you? Because talk is cheap and you're salespeople and I cannot trust you and believe you. But when you show me this, Wade, and you sign it yourself on the bottom and you slide it over and give it to me, I can rest assured that this is a contract and an agreement and that you're going to what? You're going to deliver this service and you're going to deliver this. In exchange for it, I'm going to ask you now to hire me and represent you and give me a commitment and sign an exclusive buyer's representation contract. Okay, so I don't like them signing a contract or anything. I call it my VIP or direct client agreement. You can word it any way you want. I like them I'd ask you to sign this and give me authorization to become your VIP direct buyer representative, right? Or your buyer client. VIP direct buyer client. So I reword the exclusive buyer's agency contract and I call it becoming a direct or VIP buyer client in exchange for this commitment to me. I'll give you this commitment and this service, and I'll do all these things for you on your behalf. Okay, and I'm not telling you, I'm showing and selling you that. Okay, all right. Now here's the 10 benefits of an EBA to them, not me, to them. So benefit number 1, it's like a doctor-patient relationship. Anything will be kept in confidence with me. Okay, client confidentiality. You're going to get instant communication. So the only resource is the MLS system that has no delay. I'm going to subscribe you to the only non-delayed communications system for properties in exchange for that commitment. I'm going to find off-market properties and give you that inside advantage, okay? Off-market properties, guys, are by owners, exclusives, expireds, and sleeve and pocket listings. Does everybody know what I'm talking about the off-market properties when I say that, right? So they want to subscribe to that insider advantage and that off-market property advantage. How many buyers would want access to that? Every buyer wants access to that off-property market, that insider advantage, okay? I'm going to give them that email update and that service guarantee. I'm going to give them that off-market listing advantage. I'm going to give them the active agents. So I'm full-time and not part-time, okay? That's important to communicate that, because I'm sure there's part-time agents in your marketplace now that the market's shifted and changed. There's part-time agents in our marketplace as the market's changed as well, right? So I'm an active and full-time person, okay? And that you can fire me at any time, hold me accountable. And on your guys' buyer agreement, Bryn, on ours, it has 10 things that you legally are obligated to the buyer, or the contract's null and void. Does yours guys have that on your contract as well, for your buyer contract?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, so ours has on it, I'll send you the section there. There's 10 things I must do, or the contract is null and void. Okay, so I explained to them that I cannot just sign you up and not perform these activities, or the contract is null and void, okay? And that's important to them, that the document is now holding me accountable to them versus me holding them accountable to me. Okay, it's about them and not me. Transaction coordinator advantage, we talked about that. And my promise is that you can get out and that I'll serve you at a high level every time. Okay, a couple of in the field tips for buyers. Number one, the name and rate game. Okay, the name and rate game and the Price is Right game. So what I do is, for every buyer, I will take them to and drive them by the 3 most recent sales, show them the photos of the listing on the feature sheets on the online and that, and ask them to guess the sale price of the property. Okay, so it's the Price is Right or name and rate and Price is Right game. So you drive them up and you get them to get a feel of what the list to sale price ratio is, and drive them by properties that they're looking to buy, and preview them from the outside, show them the inside shots, and get them to ask the sale price, and get them warmed up and feeling about what they're going to have to pay and how much they're going to have to pay for something that they're wanting to buy, like somebody else wanted to buy it and bought as well. Okay, the last one is whenever I take them out on the property, to help them remember the properties they look at, I ask them to name it and rate it. I learned this from a lady from Calgary, called the name and rate game. And so we name the property, put a funny name to it, and then we rate it from 1 to 10. 1 being bad, 10 being good. So we play the name and rate game. I'm going to say, hey, Bryn, you guys want to have some fun today? We're going to play some games. We're going to play the name and rate game. So you're going to put a name to this house to remember it, and you're going to rate it. Now, the next little tip is, I'm going to set up in my showings the ability to go back and show the second time immediately the top 2 rated properties. Why do I want to go back and show them the top 2 rated properties a second time right away when we're out the first time? That's going to increase my chances by 62% of Bryn buying a home by seeing it twice the first day out, versus waiting him sleeping on it and getting cold feet and waiting for another property to go see again. Hear what I do there, guys? So when I make the appointments, I know that my appointments are usually in 20-minute increments when I'm showing houses. So I'll set up the last 40 minutes for me to be able to show the top 2 the second time when I'm the first time out. Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody clear on that strategy? Okay. I'll ask Bryn to buy the house 3 times every time I show it. I'll set up a showing for the top 2 for a second time right away. I will actually bring a pre-written contract and write the offer on site at the home they want to buy. Why is that smarter, not harder? Why would you want to write on site versus going back to the office?
So the seller can get you on the mannequin?
So I'm going to write on site because I'm going to go room for room, and I'm going to be accurate on my inclusions and my exclusions and things, so I don't screw up the contract and I'm not relying on my memory. Second benefit is, the longer I stick around that house, the longer they're emotionally and physically and mentally connected to the property, and I'm decreasing my chances of them flaking out and wanting to bail out on the deal. See the benefits of writing on site there? So I got to be prepared. I got to have my laptop or my tablet or everything ready, or my contract pre-written and ready to do that, to write on site. And then most of the time, if I go back to the office, they're going to find a way to bail on me and go away, so they don't have to make an offer. So I want to eliminate the bailout technique on them going back to the office and then bailing out on me, okay? Right? Just a couple of nuggets on the field to help you guys with buyers out there. Now, we sell homes and market homes for sellers. We promote buying opportunities. How many of you guys know the best deal for a first-time home buyer in Regina, and where is it? How much is it? How many of you guys know what the best move-up buy listing is? How many of you guys know what the best investment buy is in that? So here's a strategy for you guys. Start promoting buying opportunities in this marketplace. You can email it. You can print it. You can put it in the paper. You can put it in social media. You can put it in video. right? You're in the buying opportunity business of promoting buying opportunities, okay? Right? I had people call me and say, hey, wait, I hear you're the guy that knows where the deals are. I hear you're the guy that buys properties with your clients. I hear you're the guy, People with lots of equity and cash and capital start calling me because I have my best bets or my pick of the week, or I have the Regina's top 10 every Friday that I'm promoting the best buys. How many people in that room would like to be known as the person that knows the best buys in their marketplace and knows the best deals and promotes the buying opportunities in their local marketplace? How many people would like to be recognized as that person? I was that guy. And all I did was every day or once a week, I'd promote my best 10 or my pick of the week or my best bet. And people just started to call. People with money started to call because you just seem like the guy that's got the inside scoop on what the deals are and what the buying opportunities are in the marketplace. All right. So start slowly. Start by emailing, start by social media, promoting that. Promote the buying opportunities. Here's my tag for that. If I'm promoting to my social media page, it'll be like this. I got no reason to believe you're in the marketplace for another home right now or another property, but this isn't a tremendous deal. This is a hot deal. If you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who might want to buy this, message me. Have a great day, Wade. Hear what I said there? I wasn't trying to push it. I was just letting them know that this is a great buying opportunity. And if they knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody that wants to buy it, just message me and reach out, and I'd love to share with them and share with them that buying opportunity. Who's going to tell somebody else about a buying opportunity? Nobody. My clients started calling me and saying, tell me more about that listing. Tell me more about that deal, Wade. Tell me more. Tell me more. How many people need to shift and start creating a listing marketing program for sellers and start creating a buying opportunity and be the buyer's opportunity, the buyer's agent of choice for people that are the inside intel of the buying opportunities in your marketplace and creating buying opportunities. So there's another way in which you guys can shift now in your marketplace and spend some time on your MLS system, spend some time in the listing inventory, and recognize the buys and deals and tell somebody about them. Tell somebody about them, okay? You can't get anybody to buy them if you don't tell anybody to buy them, okay? And tell them what the opportunities are. Here's one of my favorite lines. It's called the Murphy's Law. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, the house we saw today and think about tonight could be the same house someone saw yesterday and decides to buy today. Is that a true statement, yes or no? It's called Murphy's Law, right? So it's I close 3 times with my velvet hammer and I leave them with this. I want to change how they feel, not change how they think. If I try to change how they think, the buyer thinks, I'm going to get reaction of pushback. If I change how they feel, they'll change how they think. So I leave them with this thought. You guys, you know what, Bryn? I'm going to leave you with this thought. The house we see today and we think about tonight could be the same house someone else saw yesterday and buys today. I'm just saying to give it some thought, and it's always what we call in this industry the Murphy's Law. When someone else likes it, somebody else wants to buy it, somebody else likes it, it's called Murphy's Law. I'm not saying we shouldn't go home and think about it. I'm just questioning whether you should not consider Murphy's Law before we leave this house. Okay? Try that dialogue. It works. Trust me, it works. It works in getting people off the fence. Last couple little nuggets for you. So, visuals on getting people who want to time the market or think the market's going to die, okay? Let me ask you this question. How many people in this room wished in 1980 they still owned 1970s real estate in Regina? In 1990, how much 1980s real estate did you wish you still owned? In 2000, how much 1990s real estate did you wish you owned? In 2020, how much 2010 real estate did you wish you owned? In 2030, how much 2020 real estate are you going to wish you owned? Guys, is that a truthful comment and question to people in that? Yes, you cannot time the market. If you bought and held, think about the wealth you have built if you buy this. So stop worrying about what it's going to be in 2020, because in 2030, I know this, you're going to wish, Bryn, that you bought more 2020 real estate in 2030, because history always what, guys? It always repeats itself. Always, always repeats itself. It always comes tenfold, okay? Next one, you take a pad and pen and you draw the market and what the market's doing in that. So I'm guessing that the market did this and then it started coming down this, right? So I don't know where the bottom is, but I know that we're not at the top and we're not at the bottom. So when should we be buying? When the market goes like this or the market goes like this? We should be buying going there. So this is the right time for them to be buying because we're on the downslope, you guys. This is the buy time, right? But 60% of the public buys when it goes up because we're herd. we're goats, we're cattle. We just follow the herd. But the reality is that all the rich people and all the people with money, they buy when it all goes down. So get on the train with all the wealthy people and buy when it goes down. Stop going with the herd and all the cows and the goats and buying when it goes up. Does that make sense to everybody? That visual, being able to draw that visual. And the last visual is this. You take my pen on a pad of paper and I say to them, at any time when I say 1, 2, 3, you say stop. And I go like this with my pad and I draw a loop like this. And they say stop. And the reality is that your ability to time the market is as impossible as you trying to time my pen and my stroke on that pad of paper. Because what did the market do? As Bryn yelled, as he was yelling stop, the market had already gone back up. So my demonstration of that visual is you cannot time the market, just like you cannot scream stop with the stroke of my pen or the stroke of my finger with the marketplace. Does that make sense to everybody? So you've got that. How much real estate did you wish you owned every decade? Where are we in the cycle of a buying and selling cycle in the marketplace? And you can't time the market just like you can't time when you yell stop with my finger swinging up and down in the marketplace. Okay? Those visuals will be helpful for you to be able to get to it. And the moral of the story is we're going to rely on this. They're going to buy or you're going to start to say bye-bye. Okay? Deal? Everybody in the room, commit to that. They're buying or they're going to be bye-bye. Okay? So go away and cut the people that need to be cut loose. Go away and start working on your process. Go away today and start saying, you know what? I'm going to do this for you if you do this for me. And don't take anybody out, rolling the dice and taking buyers out unless they're signed up and they hired you to represent them as their buyer's agent. Everybody put their hand up and say, I will not take another buyer out unless they sign an EBA. Put your hand up. Come on, let's do it. Everybody hands up. Let's go. I will not take a buyer out unless they sign an EBA. Say it.
I will not take a buyer over.
All right, I got it on camera. It's recorded. You're all screwed if you do, and I'm going to be watching. And I'm going to get Mike, and I'm going to get Ron, and I'm going to get Bryn to send me your names and that, and I will hunt you down. Hunt you down. All right? Any questions, guys? Anything? I tried to get as much value and as much content as possible. Hey, Bryn, your one question about sellers and listings and that, at the end of the day, there's a couple things that are important with sellers in this process here. If you don't 5, 6, 7 them, if they have nothing they're running from or nothing they're running to, don't take the listing. If there's no pain, there's no pleasure, there's no mo, then no go. Don't take the listing. Does that make sense? That was one of your seller comments. The other thing is you need to pre-educate them in your pre-seller package and your listing presentation that there's going to be an adjustment of price in 21 days. And prepare them and pre-do it and pre-educate them and just let them know that it's an expectation that if the market isn't responding, then we're repositioning, readjusting that. If you're not setting them up for that, that's just normal that we reposition and we do this in 21 days, then you're setting yourself up for resistance and disappointment and them being mad at you in advance. Okay, so that's another way of no pain, no gain, no mo, no go. And secondly is pre-educate them that this is a normal part of the process that we'll be repositioning in 21 days because if the market's not responding, then we need to reposition because I can't afford to get your home with a stigmatism on it, meaning people are thinking there's something wrong with it and why isn't it selling, what's going on? My job is to get it unstigmatized so we reposition it every 21 days. Set the education process in place to avoid them being mad at you and disappointed in you. It's just what we do. Does that make sense, Bryn, in that seller process there for listings?
Yeah.
That helpful?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Set the tone. Let them know that. And what you want to do in 21 days is the people that came through in the first 21 days, I want to go back to those agents and see if I can get their people to buy it before they go and buy something else. Okay? Anything I can help you guys out? Anything else I can help you guys? I will send you the recording, Bryn. I'll send you the slide deck. I'll send you the visuals and all those things as well, the tools so you can share with the group as well so they can start putting their stuff together as well. Anything else that I can help you guys with?
No, this is great. Great. Thank you. We'll come up with another topic and we'll do this again in a couple months.
Deal. I'm all game for it. Thanks for the opportunity, you guys. Right?
Thank you very much.
Happy selling out there. Get out there and promote those buying opportunities, guys. Get out there and promote, right? You got to stand on the top of a soapbox that things are on sale. This is the time to buy. This is the season to do it. This is what, right? You got to get excited about it and feel about it. You can choose the positive of the marketplace. You can choose the negative on the marketplace. Think of where the opportunities are. Think of the positive spin of where the marketplace is, right? Things are on sale. Investors, guys are like, I tried looking to buy myself, and the best cap rates in Calgary and Edmonton are like 4% cap rates right now for investors. Like, it's like if the market shifts anywhere, there's going to be zero return on investment stuff. What are cap rates like in the Saskatchewan marketplace like for returns for investors?
6 to 8 way.
Yeah. So guys, you don't understand. That is an unbelievable return in most provinces in Canada. You got to get that word out. I looked personally to buy myself in Calgary and Edmonton because I thought there would be buying opportunities last year. Nothing's better than a 4 or 5% cap rate, you guys. Nothing.
I can help you in Regina buy something.
What's that?
I can help you buy something in Regina where the cap rates are better.
Anybody in the room, anything that's got a 6 or 8% cap rate in that, send it to me. Email me. True story. True story. Seriously, that you guys don't understand. That's the opportunity in your province, in your area, that isn't true in other places. The cap rates at best are 3 to 4% in Kelowna. Like, stuff doesn't crunch dollars, cents, make sense in our neck of the woods at all for investors. But they're still buying here based on the prices rising and things keeping going the way they're going, right? And that's so it's ironic, right? It's so your return on your investments and your cap rates are a buying opportunity in this country. Trust me. People need to know that, okay? Just to help you, to give you perspective of where the good things are in your marketplace. Yeah, I get it that it's tough and it's a grind and deals are hard to come by and sellers are not listening and stuff like that. That's common in every shifting marketplace. How you respond to it is the most important thing. How you respond to this market and how you see this market is the most important thing on what you're going to do in 2020. Okay, guys? So get out there and look at the opportunities and look at it where the good things are in your marketplace and crush it in 2020. All right, guys?
All right.
All right, guys. All the best. Thanks very much. Take care. Have an awesome week.
You too.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Right.